What's cooking, WWE Nation? This is Ringside Insider, bringing you fresh wrestling heat every day. Smash subscribe and let's jump right in. The wrestling world has been buzzing ever since word first spread that Jimmy Uso was no longer with the company, but the official statements barely scratched the surface of what really went on behind the curtain. For years, the Bloodline has been presented as a powerful on-screen dynasty, but behind the scenes they are still a real family, one dealing with real emotions, real loyalty, and now a real fracture. What happened wasn't a simple creative adjustment or a routine contract move. It was a decision that shook the entire Anoa'i family and left a ripple of emotional fallout throughout the locker room. This wasn't a storyline twist. This was personal. Roman Reigns gets the news backstage. Roman Reigns, a man known for his unmatched composure and leadership, reportedly found out about Jimmy's exit the same way fans did. Through online reports, imagine being the face of a legendary wrestling family and learning major family news through social media. Sources say Roman was in his private locker room preparing for the night ahead when the notifications began to pour in. At first, he didn't react, simply staring at his phone, reading the same lines over and over. People who were nearby described the room as heavy, tense, and silent. Roman is someone who rarely shows vulnerability, but everyone could sense how deeply this hit him. The disbelief was written all over his face, and the shock was immediate, the private moment that shook the bloodline. When the reality sank in, Roman's reaction was raw and emotional. Not the tribal chief persona, but the man beneath the character. He reportedly sat down, closed his eyes, and tried to pull himself together, but the emotional weight was too heavy. This wasn't about business. This was about family history, shared memories, and a bond that goes far beyond wrestling. It became clear that Roman wasn't prepared for this news, and the suddenness of it left him overwhelmed. People close to the moment say Roman kept expressing disbelief, trying to understand how a decision of this magnitude could happen without anyone telling him beforehand. It was a moment that showed the human side of a performer who gives everything to his craft. Paul Heyman and the locker room reaction. Paul Heyman, always by Roman's side, reportedly struggled to find the right words. He is a man known for always having an answer, always knowing how to navigate difficult situations, but this time even he was shaken. The locker room atmosphere changed instantly. Superstars who worked closely with the bloodline felt the emotional shift. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. People lowered their voices. The respect the entire roster has for the family was clear as everyone tried to process what had just happened. Many were stunned that such a major change could occur without the people most affected being informed beforehand. Jey Uso's heartbreaking response. Jey Uso, Jimmy's twin brother and lifelong partner in every sense, was deeply impacted. The two have been inseparable since childhood, working, training, and performing together for decades. When the news reached Jey, his reaction was described as quiet, restrained, and heartbreaking. He reportedly stepped away from everyone, choosing to be alone while he processed the reality that his brother was no longer part of the company. Those who saw him said he seemed lost in thought, replaying memories and trying to wrap his mind around a future without Jimmy by his side on the road. The bond twins share is something special, and this moment showed how hard real-life changes can hit performers behind the scenes. Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu feel the impact. Solo Sikoa, the youngest member of the Bloodline, has always looked up to Jimmy as both a mentor and family anchor. People who were backstage that night said Solo kept checking his phone, hoping to see a message or an update that would make everything make sense. For someone still rising through the ranks, losing the veteran presence of a family member affected him deeply. Jacob Fatu, who had only recently stepped into this chapter of the Bloodline, felt the loss as well. He had been counting on Jimmy to help guide him through the backstage world and the politics that come with it. With Jimmy gone, the younger members suddenly felt like the ground beneath them had shifted. The corporate reaction and fan frustration. While emotions ran high backstage, the corporate side of the company moved swiftly to control the narrative. Statements were released describing the departure as mutual, but those closest to the situation felt that the official messaging didn't reflect the real emotional impact on the family. The speed at which Jimmy was removed from storylines, graphics, and promotional material surprised many. Fans online quickly noticed the sudden absence and began asking questions. Social media lit up with passionate messages, heartfelt appreciation posts, and confusion over why one of the most important members of one of the greatest modern groups had disappeared overnight. The wrestling community made its voice heard, and the support for Jimmy was overwhelming. Jimmy Uso's legacy behind the scenes. What fans see on screen is only a fraction of Jimmy's true contribution to wrestling backstage. He was known as someone who uplifted everyone around him. Younger talent respected him not just as a performer, but as a person who went out of his way to offer guidance, help with timing, share advice, or simply brighten someone's day. Production staff, trainers, and crew members have shared stories about Jimmy's kindness and professionalism. He was a steady presence in a chaotic environment, someone people trusted and admired. His departure leaves a real emotional void backstage, one that won't be filled easily. The future of the Bloodline. The Bloodline wasn't just a popular faction, it was an era, an evolution, a cultural shift in wrestling storytelling, and Jimmy was an essential part of every chapter. Now the group faces its biggest turning point yet. Creative plans are being rewritten, and performers are adjusting to a new reality. Roman, Jey, Solo, and Jacob each have different journeys ahead, and the absence of a core family member adds emotional weight to whatever comes next. The future of the faction will depend on how the performers choose to move forward while still honoring the bond that built their dynasty. Roman Reigns. Moving forward, Roman now carries the pressure of continuing a story that no longer mirrors his real-life family dynamic. Those close to him say he's been reflecting deeply on the next steps of his career. This moment has shown him how quickly things can change and how important it is to protect the people who matter most. While he remains committed to his craft, this experience has undeniably shifted his perspective. The emotional core of this story. At its heart, this situation reminds the wrestling world that behind every storyline, every promo, and every match, there are real people with real relationships. Jimmy Uso wasn't just a performer. He was a brother, a cousin, a son, a mentor, and a leader. His departure marks the end of an era, and the emotional impact will be felt for months, if not years. A new chapter begins. No matter what happens next, Jimmy's influence will continue to shape the industry. The bloodline will evolve, the stories will continue, and the performers will move forward, but a piece of the foundation will always belong to him. The fans who have supported him throughout his journey will continue to be by his side as the next chapter unfolds.